What? Ugh.
Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening, Fade to Black, Bespoke Radio for the masses. is, yeah. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. 74 days into the new year, only 291 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere, a total undisclosed location, but it is beautiful. That's right, it's nice in here. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer, and UnX Networks. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? That's right. It is another completely first-time guests week here on Fade to Black. Last night, great show with Dave Scott over at Spaced Out Radio. Simulcast continued on over at his place. It was a great night. It was fun and long. It was awesome. And tonight, we have very special guest. Tom Dongo is here for the first time. He's going to tell us all about the Bradshaw Ranch, that and so much more. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw is with us. He's stopping by for the first time. We're going to be talking about his latest articles and research and experiences. We're going to be talking about all of that tomorrow night with Jazz Shaw. I'm excited. I know he's excited. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Another great week. And then I'm off to Sedona and then Phoenix. I'll be in Phoenix for the Phoenix Lights. I'll be in Sedona for Suzanne Ross's conference that she's having there in Sedona. And if you're going to be in Sedona, I'm sure everybody's going to be at this conference, but I'll see everybody there on Saturday. Sunday, I will be in Phoenix for the 25th anniversary of the Phoenix Lights. And there you go. And next week's going to be another great week here on Fade to Black. And all of that is all set up and ready to go too as well. I'm excited. Can't talk about it yet. But it's going to be great. And I'll be back from a quick road trip and another week here on Fade to Black. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Follow me on Twitter right there at JChurchRadio. The sandbox where we don't bite is hashtag F2B right there in Twitter. And, you know, I just did a quick drive-by over on YouTube to say good evening, but Twitter's now up in front of me. And I love the gifts. Thank you. Thank you, Cassandra, Kaz, Steven. You guys are the best, man. Let's see. Meow. Meow's got a few in there. Can't start the show without my gifts popping in the F2B sandbox. All right. So how you guys doing? You ready for tonight? Tom Dongo is here. And we, over the years, the Bradshaw Ranch, and Sedona in general, but the Bradshaw Ranch has been mentioned a few times on the show, and I have been sent images and things. Something is going on for sure. And I don't think anybody out there has got more experience at the Bradshaw Ranch than Tom Dongo. And I cannot wait to have him on and tell us all about it. He'll be with us at the bottom of the hour. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. Elon Musk. You know what's weird? I swear. Elon Musk and SpaceX are in the news like every single day. Every day they have got something going on. They're marketing people. I swear to God, man, they just keep it going. Keep it going. Elon, we need something today. Go do something. Go tweet something. We've got to get something else. It's crazy. And now Elon Musk's Starlink app, which allows people to access to a satellite-based internet service, Starlink, has become the most downloaded app in Ukraine. SpaceX delivered the terminals that provide the service after Putin invaded the country last month. Since then, Figures show the app has been downloaded almost 100,000 times in Ukraine, with 21,000 downloads just on this past Sunday alone. Absolutely incredible. That's good news right there. Okay. Humans, us, humans just got one more reason to journey to outer space. That's right. And just when you think, now, I keep talking about the movie Don't Look Up and how on point it was. Just about everything. Funny movie, too. Funny. They did it with humor. You got to laugh at yourself, right? Don't Look Up. And now we have this announcement. There is a rare asteroid the size of the state of Massachusetts orbiting between Mars and Jupiter. And it's worth an estimated, are you sitting down? 10,000 quadrillion dollars. Don't Look Up. The rarity, known as 16 Psyche, was actually discovered back in 1852, but NASA's Hubble Space Telescope has finally snapped some pictures and has given us a closer look. The new study was published this week in the Planetary Science Journal. Now, listen to this. To put this figure, 10,000 quadrillion, to put that figure into perspective, when written out in full, it boasts a line of zeros that could, like, go from here to the asteroid itself. That's 10, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 dollars. This makes Psyche 70,000 times more valuable than our entire global economy, worth about $142 trillion back in 2019, or enough to buy and sell Jeff Bezos, whose net worth is just shy of $200 billion. You could sell Jeff Bezos 50 million times. Yeah. And you can thank all of that to some serious heavy metal. That's right. An invasive. Man, how many breaking news stories do I got to do in a week that starts off with an invasive? Right? Oh, man. Last week it was spiders. This week, it's deadly ants. That's right. It's been discovered by insect experts in Indiana, having ventured the farthest north it has ever been. The Asian needle ant. That right there. Asian hornets, right? Everything comes from Asia. The Asian needle ant originally evolved in Asia, but was first found in the United States in the 1930s. Since then, the species has gradually been spreading throughout the states. They are now found in North Carolina, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Virginia, Connecticut, Tennessee, and New York, and now Indiana. And according to the North Carolina State University, an Asian needle ant sting is more likely to cause an allergic reaction than the venom in a honeybee sting. There you go. The Asian needle ant. From what I've read, their bites are horrific. They're not, the bite itself is nasty. And if you're allergic, you better carry an EpiPen. That's all I got to say. Keep one in the glove compartment. Keep one in your pocket. Indiana. And, oh, by the way, this is all going down right now in Evansville. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Dee Snider. Dee Snider is 67 years old. Incredible. Brett Michaels today is 58. Blink 182's Mark Hoppus today is 50. And check this, Sly Stone is 79. Our dead guy's birthday today, moment of silence, please, one of the greatest. Arif Mardin, 1932 to 2006, died at the age of 74. Arif was one of the greatest producers in music history. And I don't say that lightly. Oh, no. Working with hundreds of artists, including Queen, Hall & Oates, Anita Baker, Aretha Franklin, Dionne Warwick, Roberta Flack, Bette Midler, Barbra Streisand, Carly Simon, Ringo Starr, David Bowie, and Phil Collins. Doesn't stop there, though, because it was Arif, when producing the Bee Gees in 1975, it was Arif who discovered the distinctive falsetto voice of Barry Gibb. That's right. When he was producing and recording their song, Nights on Broadway, Arif Mardin. He also won 11 Grammy Awards, by the way. Arif died at his home in New York on June 25, 2006, at the age of 74, following a lengthy battle with pancreatic cancer. Happy birthday, Arif. On this day in history, you know what today was, 44 BC, the Ides of March. Julius Caesar, dictator of Rome, is stabbed to death at the Roman Senate House by 60 conspirators, led by Marcus Brutus. You know, there's this urban legend that Brutal, being a Brutus, comes from Marcus Brutus, and you check out the etymology of Brutal and Brutus, and you look and those claims are no, it didn't come from Marcus Brutus. It didn't. And look at the definitions too and what they mean. It's pretty funny. But it doesn't come from Marcus Brutus. Fate or fact? Allegedly. Fate or fact? Benjamin Kyle, an amnesiac who surfaced in 2004, had no memories of his life and didn't know his name. That was until 2015, when his identity was discovered through DNA testing. That's right, they found out his name, Benjamin Kyle. But there is still a 20-year gap in his life history with no known records. And that is your fate or fact. Look him up, Benjamin Kyle. Great, amazing story. Tonight, very special guest right here on this show. Tom Dongo is here for the first time. We're going to be talking about the Bradshaw Ranch and everything else in his life of contact. He's a great author, too. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw stops by for the first time because it is first-time guests week here on Fade to Black. We're going to be talking about all of Jazz's latest articles and research. That's going down tomorrow night. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. All right, now I need to hit this River Moon coffee. Look at Sly Stone, 79 years old. Rumors are he's homeless. He's living in a camper van on Crenshaw Boulevard or down in the Crenshaw district of L.A. Crazy. Unbelievable. Sued his manager, Jerry Goldstein, who I've spoken to a few times on the phone about Sly. But anyway, I'll put that to the side. Sued Jerry for $50 million. Won, right? He won $5 million. And then that got overturned. And there you go. And now Sly is, the rumors are he's home. He's 79 years old, living in a van somewhere here in L.A. All right. River Moon Coffee, rivermoonwellness.com. Fade to Black blend. All right. Can we talk? I had a great time last night with Dave Scott and Nicole Sakic. And that was a good show last night. And he's doing this thing out at the Golden Nugget. And he's talking about that last night on the show. I think he did. Did we do it during the break? I'm not sure. But I might be going out to Vegas next month to go hang out with everybody. But anyway, had a really great show. And I've been thinking a lot lately, and we sort of mentioned it last night on the show, Oumuamua. And the more that I think about Oumuamua and the research that I've dived into, I've come to the honest conclusion that it was artificial and not natural. That's right. Now, you can go. My mind is so into Oumuamua. You can go to Wikipedia if you want, read up on Oumuamua, and it's really an interesting read because they've got the data, they've got the stats, they've got the comments, they've got the data, they've got the stats, they've got the comments all the way down. And even Wikipedia, which is the article there on Oumuamua, is a desperate attempt to debunk the alien or ET aspect of this. And it's in there too as well. But they're contradicting, and the people that write and contribute to Wikipedia, they're contradicting themselves. Now, if we look at the basics of the basics here, it was discovered by Robert Warwick using the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii on October 19th, 2017. And all of this was about 40 days after it passed the sun on September 9th. And when the news broke about this, I remember covering it here on Fade to Black and over on Coast to Coast. I mean, it was a big deal, and it didn't make any sense. And in the press releases, the comments that they were made, the comments that were made, he's just like, wait, what? It did what? That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean it sped up? Right? What do you mean it turned? When Robert first viewed it, Oumuamua was already 21 million miles away from Earth, heading away from the sun. Now, here's the deal. Everything we know about Oumuamua is the opposite of what we know about asteroids and comets. And what I mean by that is, by the time we caught up to it, 21 million miles away from Earth, everything was gone. It was past. It was too late to get images. It was too late to collect any more data because Oumuamua, whatever it was gone. Some have suggested that Oumuamua came from Vega. Vega. Do you guys understand the connection here? The movie Contact, right? Some have suggested Vega. But accounting for Vega's proper motion, it would have taken Oumuamua about 600,000 years to reach our solar system from Vega. But as a nearby star, Vega was not in the same part of the sky at that time. So it didn't come from Vega. Every time somebody brings up something about Oumuamua, the data shows the opposite. Right now, nobody knows where it came from or where it's headed next. Does that sound natural to you? Now, Avi Loeb has pointed out two things in his book, Extraterrestrial, that have gone largely unnoticed. And I'm very surprised that more in both our community and the science side of things, that these things haven't been discussed more. And I would suggest to everybody, get Avi Loeb's book, Extraterrestrial. And he's got a lot of data in there. But go through the book and look at specific points and then peel off the book and then go do your own research. And just look how the science community, because it's the same as Avi Loeb's book, but the science community is there. You don't have to depend just on Avi Loeb's book. And what's better, in my opinion, is do what I do. Put the book aside, boom, go and research yourself and just go back, highlight, and go back and forth. It's fun to do. It's fun. It's fun. It's worth it. Okay? Now, these 2 points that I need to discuss, and also last night on a very interesting thing happened last night on Dave Scott's show. I brought up Arthur C. Clarke and Rendezvous with Rama, and not to do with Oumuamua, and then it did have to do with Oumuamua. If you go to Wikipedia and check out Oumuamua, it's right there. The comments and the comparisons to Rama and Arthur C. Clarke and Oumuamua for a lot of different reasons. It's all there. I love synchronicities. Anyway, so the 2 points that Avi brings up. First, that Oumuamua was probably disc-shaped. Now, we've seen all of the artist illustrations. It's a long tube. It's a cylinder-shaped, Avi says, hey, stop right there. Pancake. He uses the word pancake-shaped. Pancake. And this is a big deal. And he brings that up for a lot of reasons. You need to read the book. But he says pancake, disc shape. And second, that the data suggest that Oumuamua, check this, was metallic. That's right. Avi says it had a surface made of metal. Disc-shaped and metallic. Now, you combine these 2 mind-blowing statements and throw in the facts that Oumuamua turned, changed direction, and sped up all on its own. All of the observatories and astronomers who have studied the data all say the same thing, that the changes in speed and direction were not from gravity. Not natural. Not from gravity, from our sun or interference from any planets. This is what science says. Avi points it out in the book. Go and read what everybody has commented on and analyze the data. Initial speculation as to the cause of this acceleration, because it did take a turn and sped up and got out of town. So the cause of this acceleration, the speculation into that was that it was a comet-like outgassing, right? When stuff inside of a comet, evaporates as the sun heats its surface, right? But here's the deal. There were no such tail of gases observed following Oumuamua by anyone. Now and I'm just pointing out like the obvious things. I can do a whole show. I could do 3 hours. I can do 6 hours on Oumuamua. I'll tell you something else that isn't discussed. Astronomers and radio astronomers around the world were so freaked out by the word of Oumuamua and what it did and how it did it that they started pointing their radio telescopes at it. You know why? They were looking for communication. That's right. They were assuming from the word go, just because of everything, it took a turn, that there would be radio signals coming off of this. They claim there were none. That's their claim. I don't know. Here's the thing, and I'm going to go back to Arthur C. Clarke before I head to the break one last time. When there's a scene There's a scene in 2001: A Space Odyssey, and they're heading to the monolith on the moon. And, they're on this little lunar lander cruiser thing, transport. And they're looking at maps and photographs. And one of the engineers, one of the pilots goes, apparently it was, he goes, what am I looking at? And he goes, apparently it was deliberately buried. And the response was, deliberately buried, right? It makes you think. It stops you in your tracks. It's the same thing with Oumuamua. It turned on its own. It accelerated on its own. It avoided planetary gravity and interference and blew out of town. Yeah, I honestly think it was artificial. I do not think it was a natural object. I'm not going to let it go either. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight on this program, for the first time, Tom Dongo is here. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff tonight. He's a great author, great researcher. Going to focus on the Bradshaw Ranch right there in Sedona, Arizona. And then tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw stopping by for the first time. Going to be talking about his latest articles and research and experiences, by the way. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. On the Game Changer and UnX networks, this is Fade to Black. I'll be right back with our guest, Tom Dongo, right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. tongith.com. The tea that makes you go.
Do you have an interest in the paranormal? Then you'll love the unxnetwork.com. The X is your streaming audio and video for everything supernatural, strange, and mysterious, like UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, and so much more. From hosts like Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and Christina Gomez. Visit the unxnetwork.com show page for a complete list of all the paranormal programs you'll find on the X. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for updates at KUNXDB. Follow our Facebook group, UnX Network. Find the podcast on Spotify, iHeart, Audible, and Apple Podcast. It's time.
It's new.
It's the X.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Tom Dongo is here for the first time. I'm going to focus on the Bradshaw Ranch and his work and his books. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw is stopping by for the first time because it is first-time guest week here on Fade to Black. We'll talk about Jazz's latest article and his research and experiences. And then Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. Tonight, Tom Dongo is here. And we're going to be talking about his research, his books into UFOs, ET, the paranormal, and the Bradshaw Ranch right there in Sedona, Arizona. He's widely recognized as one of the world's leading experts on the paranormal, UFOs, and ET. He has authored 8 books that focus on the paranormal, including his bestseller, Merging Dimensions. It examines the incredibly strange activity that takes place right there at the Bradshaw Ranch near Sedona. And he has appeared on over 30 national and international television shows, 60 worldwide radio shows, and is a featured speaker at conferences around the world. And the links for his books are right there in social media, and we've got them up over at the website. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Tom Dongo. Tom, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Well, hi. It's great to be on your show.
Yeah, it's great to finally have you here. And I'm going to be in Sedona this weekend, and I'm very excited. This will be my first trip out there. But I have a lot of friends that live in Sedona that have shared their experiences with me over the years. And I can't tell you how many times, Jimmy, you've got to get out here. You've got to get out here. So finally, I'm going to make it out to Sedona, and hopefully I'll get a chance to run into you too as well. But before we get started, Tom, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. Are you ready?
Yeah, lay it on me.
Yeah, it's Tom. It's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends, and where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There you go. It's it's a tradition around here, Tom. It's a tradition. So before we dive into the stuff of today, let's back up. You've authored 8 books, and you've been researching the paranormal and UFOs and ETs for a very long time. What got you started into this? Was it something in your childhood? Did you witness something? Was it your parents? How did you get into this?
Well, I actually. It started when I was in high school. I was going into town one night, and I happened to look up, and there was a red light. It was fluttering like a leaf going between the clouds, and then I saw it 2 days later in a big valley below my house, and it kind of landed on power lines down there, and I was going to go down and check it out, but it's a good thing I didn't, because there were a lot of abduction scenarios of people doing that sort of thing back in those days. So I went back into town like I was going to do. And then the other thing was, I had a ski shop in Reno, on Moana Lane. And what really got me into all of this stuff was I used to go for a walk every day, and one day, I thought, there have been times I thought I was going insane for sure. I've got to be crazy. This can't be for real.
Right.
And I found other people, that had the same kind of experiences than I did. But at any rate, I was walking down the sidewalk, and this giant pair of hands grabbed me by the shoulders. I mean, I'm talking giant hands, right? So I thought, well, this is kind of cool. It was steering me around as I was going down so the hands turned me into a parking lot, and it was steering me between the cars, and I was walking towards a bookshop, and I thought, yeah, this is really neat. This is really cool, So I went through the door of the bookshop and went through the aisles and all the way to the back, and the hands bent me over, and I'm looking at a book on the bottom of the shelf. These are all used books, and it was Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's what got me into this whole thing. I studied that book for 6 months, and that was the beginning.
Now,
From there, I got into everything.
Yeah, what year was that?
It would have been about 1975.
So Jane was the thing around this time too as well. Did you have any idea about Jane Roberts at that point?
No, I had no interest in channeling and UFOs and or anything else. And then I moved to Sedona after Reno. And as soon as I got to Sedona, I started hearing all these stories about people and UFOs and really strange stuff. So I just out of curiosity, I started digging into it. And I in short order, had enough for a book. And I started, and then I ran out of material. And then I was actually writing about people that had extraterrestrial encounters. And I put it out to a few people that do you know anybody that's had an extraterrestrial encounter, abduction, or contactee? And I got flooded with people that did from all over. So I finished the book, and that was my second book, The Alien Tide. And so from that, 8 books later, I'm still going.
Now, what made you move to Sedona? I mean, did you know about the UFO and the community that's there, the consciousness community?
No, at the time I was living in Santa Cruz, California, and I was a member of the Tibetan Foundation, and it's actually a channeling group. They were being taught how to channel, and the leaders of the people that ran the place were dead. They were on the other side, so they had one channel that was very good. So she'd relay the messages, and I got finally. It took me about 8 months to get a certificate of being a certified channel for the spiritual hierarchy. So at any rate, I got tired of Santa Cruz, and I thought, well, I think the Tibetan Foundation had a branch in Sedona. I had no idea. I thought it was just sand and cactus. So I said, well, I go to Sedona. So anyway, so now I've been here 34 years.
So that would have been about 85 or so?
Yeah, it was during the harmonic convergence.
Yes. Okay. So 84, 85. And when this is interesting. I want to go back to your comment that you needed, to complete the book, right? You needed some more stuff for the book, and you put the word out. And how quickly did you realize that contactees and ET contact was so prevalent out there in society, and specifically Sedona?
Well, actually, the more dramatic ones that I ran into were in California, like Half Moon Bay.
Ooh.
But I ended up I figure about 400. They were split between abductees and contactees, and it was an incredible experience. I don't think anybody outside of Bud Hopkins has had more experience than I have had with contactees and abductees.
Now, Tom, I'm going to ask you the obvious question. Here we are in 2022, and you've been at this for a very long time, and your research is excellent, and you're somebody that we have always looked up to. But Did you ever, in your wildest imagination, think that this country and this world would be speaking about ETs and contacting UFOs like we are today, from Washington, D.C. to defense to science and television and the people on the street? It's crazy right now, isn't it? Did you ever think we would arrive at something like this?
Actually, no. I used to get attacked constantly when I gave up 3 times. I said, this just isn't worth it. I quit. But as soon as I quit, something else would happen. I'd get right back into it again. A UFO, something or another. And I've been on your show is the 60th I've been on in 2.5 years. I figure I've spoken to about 80 million people with not one complaint. No, not one person has complained. So I must be doing something right.
And somebody else is doing something right too. And what I mean by that is, for the media to be on board, Congress, the Senate, Capitol Hill, science, Avi Loeb, Harvard University, right? The list just goes on. And suddenly you are not, getting attacked. I'm not getting attacked. It seems like it's an okay area to discuss these days.
Well, people are starting to believe it now. That the debunkers and skeptics and critics they're just not. They're finally getting. I've had people that thought I was nuts, critics, and then 2 days later they come running, Tom, you won't believe what I saw last night. So they went from a devout disbeliever to a devout believer overnight, and that's happened a lot with me. I won't spend 3 seconds with a skeptic to try to convince them.
Yeah, you don't have to. No. You don't have to now, and these are certainly great days. Now, I want to turn to Sedona for a second. Sedona, as you know, I'm speaking and stating the obvious. Sedona seems to have a lot of everything. It's all going down in Sedona. And the stories of course, craft in the sky and contact, but there's also vortexes and magical spots in the ground. You have the geography that is there. You have cryptids, Bigfoot. Everything seems to be. Is it Sedona itself the reason for this? Why that area of Arizona to have everything happening at the same time?
Yeah, I've been asked that about 1,000 times. It's probably the magnetism and the red rocks. It's the red rocks around here are red because it's rust. So, and that's iron oxide. So it must have something to do with the magnetism here, or there's something else. I don't know. I've been studying this. I'm for sure the world expert on Sedona. Nobody knows what I know, and I've done it. I've got this. I hunt them on their turf. I'm not an armchair. I've never been an armchair researcher. I go after them. I can tell you some pretty hairy stories, but I'm still here.
Well, what was your take me back to the first thing that happened to you? Because you're there channeling, and I get that, and you go because of the Institute. But there was always the first time something happens. When and what happened?
Well, it's mostly other people's stories, that I was hearing constantly, and I would check them out. But, I had so many sightings. I was in a coffee shop one day, and the guy said, you should have been here about an hour ago. There was a woman that was a total UFO disbeliever. So we looked out the window, and there was a huge disc hovering over Thunder Mountain. And the guy said, hey, come here, I want to show you this. And she was gobsmacked. She saw a UFO. So, I mean, that sort of thing happens around here. Used to happen all the time. It's the overcrowding here is getting to be a problem, and it's driving what used to be further back in the canyons or in other places, but it's certainly still here.
Now, I've heard the same thing too as well, that you guys have a traffic problem in that little town now.
Yeah, it's severe.
It's severe. That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. Now, when you say a disc over Thunder Mountain, what are you describing? And is this big? Is this small?
Well, most of them are around 30 or 40 feet across, and I've been within 40 feet of an alien spacecraft. I could have I had 6 witnesses. I tell people, whatever I talk about, I can prove it. I'm not just blowing smoke out my ears. If I say something, I can prove it. So anyway, I was coming back. I did UFO tours, well, general tours. I had a tour company in Sedona. We went all over the Southwest, but my UFO tours were so popular. I spent 80% of my time doing UFO tours, and I retired 3 years ago. I don't do them anymore. But at any rate, we were coming out one night, and there were 6 people in the car, and the guy's son was sitting next to me, and he said, "Look, look, look." And it was hard to describe, but it floated like a feather. And it was orange, and it had 3 orange spheres inside of it. So naturally, we had put all of our camera equipment away. So no, I could have hit it with a tennis ball. It came right over the van, and we all got out and saw it. We watched it, and it floated just like a feather being blown in a wind. And it went down towards Cottonwood, turned white, went straight up about 2,000 feet, came back down, and you could see it landing behind the trees. You could actually see it landing. And we hung around for a while. It was pretty late at night, so we didn't stay any longer. But it probably just shot off below the trees and just left, because it was clearly inside of Cottonwood. It was on a hill just above Cottonwood.
Now, when you say things are slowing down, do you think that that is because there are so many people now in Sedona that it's not this quiet little town that it used to be?
Well, unfortunately, yeah. Where there used to be 10, now there's 1,000 people.
Right.
So it's still here, though. I hear stories, especially in the Bradshaw Ranch. There were 3 professional researchers that had the best equipment. They had everything the best money could buy, and they had a situation. They were at the Bradshaw Ranch, and I'm always interested. I don't go out there much anymore because the ranch is in ruins. The University of Northern Arizona has leased it from the Forest Service, so the government owns the Bradshaw Ranch now through the Forest Service. So anyway, it's completely in ruins. The windows are smashed out. The weeds are waist high. So there's really nothing there. But there's nobody. There used to be guards there stopping people from going on. Now it's wide open. So anyway, these guys, the 3 of them, they knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, these guys were sharp. So one guy, they stationed themselves around the ranch up on the hill. And there's a windmill. It still works. It's still working. A windmill above the ranch, and that's one of the strangest places on Earth. I don't know why, but the really weird stuff that happens to people on the Bradshaw Ranch has always been near that windmill. In fact, I was being interviewed for a national TV show. I forgot the name, but anyway, one guy had to go up on the hill to take a leak. And he was up by the windmill, behind the windmill, and he came back an hour later, and he's one of the camera crew. And they say, "Where the hell have you been for an hour?" He said, I was just gone a few minutes. But he said, it's funny. I heard these strange voices, like some kind of a foreign language, and horses running in the distance. And there's no horses out there anymore. They haven't been for a long time. So he came back, and they were real mad at him because they had a tight schedule, and he put them back an hour. So, and this is a national camera crew. So, I mean, stuff like that happens out here.
And so some kind of time thing went down, right? He's hearing horses from the past.
Well, yeah, no, that's a lot of these mysteries. I have no idea. I don't have a clue. But what happened with these 3 guys? One of the guys got up. That was there. He was stationed by the. And I interviewed these guys for 2 hours, and they were straightforward researchers, nuts and bolts researchers. And so one guy stationed himself at the windmill, another guy was further over, and then there was another guy further north. And now get a load of this. I mean, this is pretty weird, even for the Bradshaw Ranch. So they were all stationed, and they had all their equipment going. and nobody got this on film. So they're watching above the Bradshaw Ranch is what we call Bradshaw Hills. It's kind of officially called Bradshaw Hill now. So a car stopped at the top of Bradshaw Hill, and it stayed there for a while. And they were watching it because they read my books and they knew all the strange stuff that happened out there. So the car took off. It starts coming down towards the Bradshaw Ranch, and it wasn't on the road. It was going through the trees, just like a car. Tail lights, headlights, the whole deal. And it's going like I've seen this, so I know exactly what those guys were talking about. Linda Bradshaw and I used to see it often. And a UFO can mimic a car perfectly. You wouldn't know the difference. So anyway, they were watching this car come down through the trees, and you couldn't even you'd have a hard time driving a tank down through there. Those trees and rocks are so bad.
Right.
So the car gets down to the ranch, the edge of the ranch, and it didn't go through the gate. There's a big metal gate out there still, and it cut across a field, went through a chicken wire fence that surrounds the ranch now. The university put it up with a big sign. It went through the fence, didn't knock it down, just went through it. And then it went across a cultivated field, and the ruts in the field would be hard even for a Jeep. So the car stopped, went through the two fences, went right through them, and drove across that cultivated field like it was a highway. And then it stopped behind the ranch house. And just before that, the guy up on the hill above the ranch house saw a guy in white pants come out of the woods and go behind the ranch house. And the car pulled up just a few minutes afterwards, and this girl got out, all dressed in white, and she ran behind the ranch house. I mean, this car was everything: tail lights, headlights, the dome lights when she got out, the whole deal. So she went behind the ranch house, and I said, "Well, did she have time to take a pee?" And they said, "No, no. We watched. We were timing that too." So the girl runs back to the car, and then the car goes back through the fence twice, didn't knock it down. And then it went across this cultivated field, smooth like it was driving on a highway, back up through the trees and disappeared. So something happened to these three guys, So like I say, I interviewed them for 2 hours, and they were the guy that was by the windmill, and these guys were smart. They knew all the, they studied all the stuff about UFOs and the researchers and read my books, and the guy by the windmill got so confused and disoriented, he got lost. He went in the wrong direction, and he got quite a ways from where he was, and realized he's going away from the ranch. So he came back, and they all got together. Then I met him 2 days later, and I interviewed him for 2 hours. Quite a story, but that's typical of the ranch.
So the car, am I understanding you correctly? The car drove through the chicken wire without breaking it down.
Yep, drove right through it without breaking it down.
Now, Tom, I'm going to be out there, as you know, this weekend. Can I get onto the ranch? Will I get in trouble?
Yeah, no, it's completely open now. You can. I have friends that go out there all the time just to see what they can rustle up, and no, it's completely open. You can park out by the gate and just walk into it.
Okay. So I can't drive through the gate. I have to park at the gate and then just walk through?
Yeah, it's only like 50 yards.
Okay. And what about the windmill? Do I have access to that? That's easy?
Yeah. You can. The windmill is more easily accessible than the ranch is. You just walk up on the hill. It's right there.
Well, I have all the night vision, right? I've got all that stuff and binoculars and things. I think that I need to do this. My first trip to Sedona, I didn't realize that I could actually get on the ranch.
Yeah, you can.
Well,
I have a couple of friends that go out there they're out there all the time, and they do get some interesting stuff. And by the way, there was a guy here. He's a famous filmmaker. I'm not going to say his name, but he put trail cameras all over the ranch. And I kind of waited for him to call me, and he never called. He just kind of disappeared. I'd like to know what he got on those trail cameras. I think he put 8 trail cameras around the ranch.
Well, we'll talk about him after the show. maybe I can stir the pot on that. I'd like to find that out too as well. Yeah. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, Tom, we'll talk about the history of the Bradshaw Ranch, because you probably more than anybody besides the Bradshaws themselves have spent more time at this ranch, and you know the history. So let's keep this going. I'm very excited. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Tom Dongo is here. 8 books out, and the links for all of his books are up in social media and over on our website. Going to continue on with the Bradshaw Ranch after this short break on the Game Changer and UnX networks. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, BX.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com.
Hi, Race Hobbs with the X. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you have an interest in unexplained phenomena like ghosts, Bigfoot, and UFOs. And by now, you know that we have our own X blog, the UnX newsletter, and the UnX magazine quarterly. But most of you don't know that we have started our very own paranormal conference. And this year, for safety, this 2-day X-Con will be virtual, so you can attend from the comfort of your home. X-Con presenters include Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, Margie Kay and Preston Dennett, Lisa Martin and Wayne Lawrence, Lee Spiegel, Debbie Zagelmeyer, Dan Terry, Kate Grabowski, and Ray Hernandez. There will also be a live paranormal investigation by the Riverside, Iowa Paranormal Team. So come hang out with us in the safety of home as we set out to explain the unexplained Friday, May 13th and Saturday the 14th, 2022. And tickets are on sale now. Go to unxnetwork.com. That's unxnetwork.com.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Race Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell, You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Tom Dongo is here. It's going to be a great conversation. I feel this coming. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. And I just want to pick up right where we left off there, Tom, about the Bradshaw Ranch. By the way, how is cell reception out there?
Well, in places, not very good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I should live stream from the Bradshaw Ranch.
Well, the signal strength there is pretty good, but there are places it's dead around here.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about this. Now, so you arrive in 85. How soon after that did you meet the Bradshaws?
I'd heard rumors about the Bradshaw Ranch, and so I got a letter from Linda one day, but by the way, we tried to get Bigelow interested in this stuff, and they wouldn't have anything to do with this, but we had a lot of experience. We could have added to the Skinwalker Ranch. I just want to anyway. So I got a letter from Linda, and I was I'd heard the rumors, and I didn't know anybody that knew the Bradshaws, and I would just die in to go down there because I was a paranormal buff, right?
Right.
So I got a letter from Linda one day and said, Tom, can you come out to the ranch? And strange things have been going on out here. And she gave me some of the pictures that she'd been getting out there, at night. So anyway, I don't want to lose track of where I am here, but Linda Bradshaw and Linda Crystal, they were orbs. She was getting photographs of orbs. And Linda Bradshaw and Linda Crystal were the ones that were the first ones that brought orb attention to the world. And from the Bradshaw Ranch and Linda Crystal in Pine Bush, New York, it spread all around the world within a couple of months because I watched it carefully. So anyway, they were photographs of orbs, and what she would do and Linda kind of pioneered this. She would walk around at night with a 35 millimeter flash camera and just take flash pictures randomly, anywhere, up, down, sideways, So I went out and I saw the pictures that she was taking. So I started doing the same thing. I was getting the same kind of stuff, but different. To make a long story short, it's not often the camera; it's the person behind the camera that affects what the camera takes. It took us a long time to discover that. So anyway, I ended up spending the next 4.5 years on the Bradshaw Ranch about 4 times a week, and I would leave about 1 o'clock in the morning. And some of the stuff that happened to Linda and I was pretty incredible. But I need to point out we were never hurt in any way with all this stuff. So anyway, I'll talk about some of it tonight. So anyway, I started getting some really strange stuff, photographs out there, and it got better and better and better and better. And Bob is he was an old redneck Arizona cowboy rancher, and he came out one time. He was on national TV. He was on Paranormal Borderline with Jonathan Frakes, and so Bob went out one day. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and a disc landed in the apple orchard, and it had hundreds of white spheres with it. And it was about 30 feet across, but it landed right in front of him. And keep in mind, Bob's just an Arizona cowboy, dyed in the wool Arizona cowboy. And so anyway, he wouldn't come out again. Linda used to go in and say, "Bob, you've got to come out and see this." And
wait, Tom, hold on here. Let's pump the brakes. You're saying that Jonathan Frakes witnessed with Bob a craft land in the orchard?
No, Bob was interviewed by Jonathan Frakes when Bob was on the ranch for the show Paranormal Borderline.
Right.
And Bob was describing what he saw land in the orchard. And he, from that day on, he would not come out of the house. Linda, there were incredible things that Linda and I saw, but Bob, he would absolutely refuse to come out. And Linda tried to drag him out, but he wouldn't come out. He stayed and watched TV in the house, in the ranch house.
Now, what was there's always that moment, right, where you stop and you go, okay, holy crap, this is real, right? I'm not crazy. What was that moment at the Bradshaw Ranch for you?
Well, we would walk around taking flash pictures, and we were getting things like strange things. Like, for instance, both Linda and I took a flash picture at exactly the same time, and a white feather appeared in front. The cameras didn't record it, but there was a white feather about 14 feet tall right in front of us. Both Linda and I used to say, if you hadn't seen that too, I would know I'm crazy, insane. So anyway, things like that, but the cameras didn't record it. But the cameras would often record stuff, and I've got them right here. Stuff that we couldn't see, but the camera could see it. And now that's a scientific fact. A camera can see far more than a human eye can see.
Sure. Now, describe this 14-foot white feather.
Well, that's what it was. Things like that would happen, and we couldn't. There's no way to explain it. It was beyond our understanding. But it was there. We both saw it. However, it appeared there. And the famous portal that was on the Bradshaw Ranch was about 40 feet from the ranch house and about 30 feet in the air, and it was about 30 feet across. And Linda was real sensitive to this, this stuff that came out of the portal. And there were times she was far more sensitive to it than I was. But at times it seemed like we were in Times Square in New York. There were so many things going on around us, and odors and strange smells like burning tar and sulfur and roses. So hard to explain. Unless you've experienced it, it's hard to explain. But we continued with this, and we had about three years in, we had a pact that if we were killed doing this stuff, we were going to push it to the limit. We were going to push this stuff to see what it is, because we knew it was going to disappear, just like the stuff that in the San Luis Valley in Colorado that disappeared the same time it did in Sedona with Chris O'Brien. And Chris and I we would go back and forth, and the stuff that went on in the San Luis Valley in Colorado near Crestone was fantastic, but it was different than Sedona. So Chris and I would go back and forth and compare, the stuff, and it changed suddenly, then it disappeared. So we knew that was going to happen.
Now, the portal at Bradshaw Ranch, which is something that has become so much of a part of our community, right? This is something that is discussed a lot. Tell how, when we say portal, and I like the way that you described it. It's 50 feet out, 50 feet or 30 feet up in the air. So how did you figure out that there was a portal there? This isn't something that you see, is it?
Well, strange things were happening on the ranch, and Linda was, like I say, was far more sensitive to this stuff than I was, and she got photographs of other places in that portal, and there was one that we got into a lot of trouble over, and it was a photograph. It was the same as in Oregon. I can't think of the name of it right now.
McMinnville.
So she got that same exact photograph, and we at the time we didn't know about that other photograph.
Right.
So it was in the portal, and I've seen this 2 or 3 times myself. It's like a huge black and white television set in between stations, the static.
Right.
And I've got a photograph of that somewhere. A lot of our photographs disappeared. So it just got more and more interesting. And I've been studying. I'm 77 years old now. I've been in this for 50 years. Like Bob Dean was one of my best friends, and Wendell Stevens. So, I hung out with these guys a lot. So I heard things that extraterrestrials are commonplace for me now. I really, it really kind of bums me out when I hear people say, "Oh, aliens are really real," and that kind of thing. And so I say, yeah. They are. And so, Colonel Corso, the day after Roswell, his book, the military knew 20 years ago of 71 different races of extraterrestrials on this planet, either on this planet or coming and going. So I've been chasing these human extraterrestrials. I've met 4. 2 of them I knew they were extraterrestrials, and I met them here in Cottonwood, Arizona. They didn't talk. They wouldn't talk to me. One was a female tall white, and the tall whites are not friendly with us. They don't like humans. And the guy was I'm 6'2", and she was about 6'2", skin as white as a sheet, and she had wraparound sunglasses on over her eyes, and she was dressed completely in black, and she was terrified in the middle of the aisle. It seemed to me she'd probably never been in a supermarket before. So all these people were going by her and didn't look at her. And I was on a show one night, and he said, maybe the aliens couldn't see you. And I thought, well, I never thought of that because they never looked at me once. And I was 5 feet from the girl.
Mm-hmm.
So he had one eye that was blue and the other eye green. He was about 6'5", and he had blonde hair. His eyes were just like a Siberian husky. So I'm standing 5 feet from the girl, studying her, and neither one of them looked at me once. And so he came over and gently took her by the arm and led her away. But she was terrified. She was standing in the middle of people, going by her and not looking at her once, pushing carts and whatnot. And so he came over and gently took her by the arm, and they got a cart, and and everybody says, what were they? What were they buying? And I says, well, Twinkies, white bread, and bad hamburger. I would do that just for the heck of it. But they would go down the aisle. I watched them, and they would take something off a rack, and I know what they were thinking. They were thinking humans actually eat this crap. They put it back. I mean, you could tell what they were thinking. And they didn't buy anything. I watched them for quite a while. Then I had to leave. It was about 9:30. And they were still there. So anyway, that's one of my, and I've had, a couple of books have been written about the great tricksters. Extraterrestrials loved to play tricks on us stupid humans, Earth humans. And it's true. They do. They've done it to me a couple of times.
Like
these
what?
These are long stories.
Yeah. No. What happened? How did you get tricked?
Yeah. Okay. When I let's see, which is the better one?
You can tell both. You can tell both.
Yeah. When I lived in Santa Cruz, California, I just started getting an interest in extraterrestrials. I got curious about aliens, and so I said, okay, if you people, you're real. I had a lunch hour, went from 12 to 1 o'clock, and I said, meet me at 12 o'clock at Star of the Sea Park. And Santa Cruz, you've been to Santa Cruz. You know how cold it can get there, even in the summer when the wind comes in off the ocean.
Right.
So it was very cold. And so I expected some green monster to come bounding out of the bushes, and at exactly 12 o'clock. It was 1 o'clock, at exactly 1 o'clock. So at exactly 1 o'clock, right to the second, an old pickup like a '53 Chevy pickup pulled in beside me, and I was kind of irked because there was enough parking space there for 200 or 300 cars, and she pulled in right beside me, and like I say, it was cold, and so she got out, and she was dressed in very light clothes, and she had a baby, and the baby was just in a diaper, and so she got out. And there was some sun there, so instead of putting her blanket in the sun, she put it in the shade of a tree, a pine tree. So I didn't really think anything of it, but so I'm thinking, well, I guess the extraterrestrials aren't going to show up today. So I backed up, and I had to get back to work, and I backed up, and as I was pulling away, the baby looked at me and gave me a wave that was not typical of a baby. It was a very adult wave, like, you fool, you didn't figure this out, until later. So they were extraterrestrials. And then the other time was here in Sedona. It was in the spring, and it had been snowing a lot. And my girlfriend at the time, we were trying to find a petroglyph site. It was up in the canyons towards Flagstaff, and we were. The mud was brutal. You lift up your foot, and you got 5 inches of mud sticking to the bottom of your boot. So I was trying to find the petroglyph site, which was, I'd been there 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't find it. So out of the bushes comes walking this girl with she had I think a white wool sweater and red slacks. Pretty blonde, about 27 years old. And I'm looking at her, and almost all the women around here, the crime is very low here, but they always have a dog with them. And she didn't have a dog. So I'm sweating like a pig, because I've been looking for this petroglyph site. So she went over to my girlfriend, and I couldn't hear what they were talking about because the snow was melting. The water was roaring like the Colorado River at the bottom of this ravine. So I kind of motioned for the girl to come over, and she was very, very quiet, and she was clean as a whistle. I mean, she had no dirt on her whatsoever. And like I say, the mud was brutal. She had street shoes on, and I asked her, I said, do you happen to know where the petroglyph site is? And she spoke so quietly, I had to put my ear right up to her mouth to hear what she said. And she just pointed to where I was standing, and she said, it starts right there. And sure enough, that's where the trail is. And I asked her, I said, how did you know that? I couldn't find it. I've been here many times, and I couldn't find it. She just looked at me. So this is where it gets really interesting. So we went down, and it was almost straight down. It was almost a 90 degrees, a brutal hike down there. Just you had to hang onto the rocks and the bushes and whatever. So it was the petroglyph site. So the water was roaring so loud. I was yelling to my girlfriend. She yelled to me, and I turned around. I was yelling to her, and I turned around, and the girl was right there, right in my face. And I looked up, and there's no possible way. And people said, could she have been a ghost? No, I don't think so. I think she was an extraterrestrial. So the girl was right there, right in my face, and I saw. She came towards me more, and she wanted to talk about the petroglyphs. And she was saying some things. I was so stunned at turning around, and she was standing right there, and there's no way you could see somebody coming for 50 yards up that trail, but she just she materialized there basically. So I turned around again to my girlfriend because she was yelling at me again. She couldn't see me from where she was. I turned around again, and the girl's gone. That's an extraterrestrial trick. So that's what I've been experiencing.
So the trail, when you left her to go down this 90 degree, right, this steep trail with your girlfriend, she was behind you, right? You left her there.
No, she didn't. No, she was still up. She didn't. She disappeared.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Interesting. That's impossible.
Yeah. No, especially she didn't have. We had hiking boots with Vibram soles and that sort of thing. She had street shoes on. It would be almost impossible to go down that trail. It was so muddy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, those are the experiences I've had.
I've seen these images over the years. I've had a lot sent to me, and I've seen many online. Some were yours too, as well.
Yeah.
Of these, I'm going to say lights, and some of these objects at Bradshaw have been given names over the years too, as well. And I'll let you go into that, but a couple of them come to mind, and one was a group of orange, yellow balls that had come out of the portal and were up above the ranch. Now, I've seen pictures, not taken at the same time. These are over the years. Some from above the ranch. Maybe this is by the windmill that you're talking about. Some above the ranch, and then some down from the ranch itself. But of these same, this 2 or 3 balls of light that have been described as a craft that have come in and out of this portal. Can you speak to that a little bit and tell me what's going on?
Well, we never saw orbs come out of the portal, but that's not the spheres. The orbs were, we got to. I get so fired up about this stuff. I talk too fast, so I'm going to slow down. So anyway, we never saw them come out of the portal, but here's how we learned that those orbs were alive. They were living things. I've talked about it in my books. We were for a couple of years. We saw these lights in the distance, and we thought they were landing lights at the Cottonwood Airport. They looked like landing lights. So one day I said, Linda, I don't think those are planes landing. And so we had 3 million candle power spotlights. So we started shining them at these spheres in the distance, the orbs. And after a while, they started to react. And somebody wrote a book about these things, and he said that they probably had an intelligence about that of a dog, and I would agree, because the way they reacted, they were living, they were alive. So they would mimic. We did a Morse code thing, flash, 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 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, and they would flash back at that. So that's intelligence. And I did one with an orb one night in the sky. They were a long ways away. They wouldn't come close to us. Linda did finally get them to come very close to her, within about 20 feet. Not me. They wouldn't come. They didn't like me, but they liked Linda. But I had one night I was playing games with one of these orbs, and I turned the spotlight back and forth. And probably one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life, that sphere tried to mimic it. It would dull down, flash, dull down, flash, dull down. It was the best it could do, but that shows clear intelligence.
And it was just responding to you.
Yeah.
And any particular time of night?
No, totally random. I've been asked that many, many times. All of it is totally random. If you try to map it out or plan it out or figure it out, it never works. It's just totally up to them, whoever they are, to appear or not appear. You can't plan on it ever.
Now, we're going to head to a break in a couple of minutes, Tom. You said that you didn't see anything come out of the portal. Did you ever see them come from the sky? Did they start in the stars and come down?
No, they would just more or less just appear. They were. We think that what was coming through that portal was from another dimension. So that's the only, we have no real evidence, but that was our suspicion, that they were coming from another dimension. They could see us clearly. They could see us, but we couldn't see them.
Which is the subject of your book.
Yeah.
Now, what about what I was just suggesting here? Did you, in your nights out there, were you looking at the stars? Were you sky watching and looking up?
We were so busy with this super paranormal stuff. I don't think we ever looked up into the sky once. I'll tell you, I've got endless stories. So yeah, I had a friend that we both had cameras that would film. There was 0 lux cameras, the Sonys, and so we were trying to get film of a UFO. So one night we saw 3 UFOs flying right over Sedona. I'm talking treetop level. 3 of them. They were spheres, white spherical disc shaped, and they flew right over Sedona, and they were headed towards us. So I yelled, I banged on the door. I said, Jim, grab your camera and come out. He had a really good camera, and so we came out and we filmed these things. And Jim passed away a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, the film went with him, but we got this thing. A plane just took off. A single-engine Cessna-type plane just took off from the airport, which was above us, and it had to dive to miss the lead UFO because they were flying right over us. Right, they would have passed just to the north of the airport, and we actually got that Cessna had to dive so it didn't hit the lead UFO. We had that on film.
That's incredible. Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Tom Dongo, talking about Sedona and the Bradshaw Ranch. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer and UnX Network. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. More with Tom after this short break.
Yep, got it. Okay,
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
This is Jimmy Church. Jason Martell's book, Knowledge Apocalypse 10-Year Anniversary Edition, is now available. Most ancient cultures speak of a time when their gods visited them. They never say their gods came from across the ocean or from the mountains. They always came down from the skies. Was ancient man visited by gods or extraterrestrials? We have not been told the full truth about our human past. There was a time when all the ancient cultures lived amongst beings they considered their gods. The search for truth leads us down the path of learning where the ETs might come from and why they are here. To understand some of these advanced topics and learn the truth about human origins, buy the new book from Jason Martell, Knowledge Apocalypse. Now in its 10-year anniversary edition, available on Amazon.com by clicking on the banners over on our site, or simply visit JasonMartell.com. That's JasonMartell.com. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Got it.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Tom Dongo is here for the first time. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw stopping by for the first time. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Our guest tonight, Tom Dongo, talking about the Bradshaw Ranch in Sedona, Arizona. And Tom, I wanted to go back to something that you mentioned earlier, that the university has come in and taken possession of Bradshaw Ranch. And for a minute, I've heard the stories that they had security guards out at the property, and you weren't allowed onto it. What do you know about that? Why did they take it over and get possession of it?
It's confusing to me too, because the university was supposed to bulldoze all the ranch houses and build dormitories where the ranch house is now, and that was 4 years ago, and they haven't done anything. So maybe they've been reading my books and scared them to death. So they haven't done anything. They tilled that is about half an acre. Is what they're doing is they're doing research on native Arizona plants. To see how they react to different things, water and all that sort of thing. So that's really all I know. But they haven't done anything. Now it's wide open. There used to be a guard on the property, and he was real nasty. But that's been years. So no, it's wide open now. There's no restrictions at all that I know of, and they're not trying to stop anybody.
Now, and the other interesting part, the reason why I was asking you about looking to the sky and was some of this stuff coming from elsewhere, that this is paranormal. This is supernatural paranormal activity at the ranch itself, and that is what is happening there, right? And aside from Bob's sighting of a craft landing in the orchard.
Yeah, well, it changes. I've been here. Let's see, 34 years now. I've been studying. I've been watching this stuff. I rarely get out anymore because I'm just too busy doing other things. But I do keep an eye on it and see what's happening. And it's still going on. It changes about every 10 years. Completely changes from something to something else, and it's still going on, and it's just different now. It's lesser, but it's pretty dramatic still.
Yeah, different in what way, Tom?
Well, yeah, I just thought of something and I forgot it. But there are bases here. There's alien bases and American U.S. military bases, and I think that has had an effect on it a lot. Richard Sauter, I think he's in Brazil now. He's the world expert on underground tunnels. And Richard and I used to be in close contact, but he says that Sedona is riddled with tunnels, and it is. They would have been about 1992, a tunnel was drilled from Secret Canyon under the Bradshaw Ranch up to Jerome. And Jerome's at about Mingus Mountain there is about 8,000 feet, and Jerome's at about 6,000. So the ranch, everything on the ranch was shaking. The water pipes were shaking. The windmill was shaking. So it was an enormous tunnel that was being drilled, and it went right underneath the ranch. So it went up to Jerome, and underneath Jerome has had, around the turn of the century, about $1 billion worth of copper ore. And they hit 4,000 feet straight down. That's 2,000 feet from where I am right now, below Cottonwood, Arizona. 4,200 feet straight down in a shaft, they hit an enormous deposit of gold and silver. I mean, enormous. So there's a cavern down there, and it's probably dry. So what's in, and it has this 77 miles of tunnels underneath where they drilled for the copper. So anything could be in those tunnels, anything. And things I've seen. In fact, I got into trouble with a guy. He was a police lieutenant from Tucson, and we were out there one time, and we were close to Cottonwood, and we were filming things around Jerome that were one of them looked like I've seen UFOs land just outside of Jerome, to the west of Jerome. So there's some kind of a facility there, whatever it is, I don't know. So anyway, we were watching these things going on, and like a dummy, I had green lasers, and we started, playing with the lasers with these things that were flying around, and this guy he's a police lieutenant from Tucson, and pretty soon these cars showed up. It was harassment. They had their high beams on us, so yeah, we somebody got a little bit upset about what we were doing, and they didn't come very close to us, maybe 100 yards. They just had their high beams on us. There were three cars, if I remember right. So when we left, we were parked. His car and my car were parked in an open field, and one of these cars just did spun around us 360 degrees, around. Stupid way to to show whatever they were pissed off about. Why? But I had a police lieutenant witness this stuff. As soon as we started using those green lasers on these things, these cars showed up to harass us. But we didn't. That was it.
The other part of Sedona, which I know quite a few, like yourself, that do UFO tours, sky watching tours, and every one of them, I'm not going to say their names, but everybody that that does that there, tells me the same thing, that there isn't a night that you can't go out in Sedona and just ask to see something, and you are going to see something arrive in Sedona. Why do you think that is? Is it the people? Is it the openness of the mindset? Why do you think this goes on? I've seen this in different parts of the country, but Sedona certainly seems to be one of these hot spots.
Well, I forgot the name of the guy that originated this, but what they're doing is, I went after real UFOs when I was close-up UFOs, and had many experiences with close-up UFOs. What they're doing, and I'm not criticizing them at all, but what they're doing is they're going out and with night vision and the things that are flying way up in the sky, and they're taking 90-degree turns. They're flying in formation. So, but I like to get up close and personal with UFOs, and we were many times we were within 25 or 50 or 100 yards of an alien spacecraft. And I'll tell you this story. I guess we got plenty of time. I have a friend that's an Air Force colonel. He just retired, and he was he used to come out here and do stuff with me and see this stuff. Actually, I'm gonna bypass that story. This one's much better. So we had 6 people on a tour one night, and we had 3 movie quality cameras, and it was about 9 o'clock. It was in the summer. It was pretty warm, and in the distance, I noticed a blue light we all had good binoculars, and I got everybody. Now there were 6 people, including me, 6 people, 6 witnesses. So it's not something I'm not making this up.
Mm-hmm.
And they said if you need to, I will testify. I will back you up on this. So anyway, the blue light, we were watching it. It was very strange. It was kind of a electric blue light, and we looked closer, and it was an alien spacecraft, damaged alien spacecraft on the ground. It had been hit, and it was damaged at 5 o'clock, and they were repairing it. We could see that after a while, and none of the cameras would work. That's pretty typical. None of the cameras would film this thing, and the movie quality one had a zoom on it that was more than adequate to film this craft, and the craft was maybe I'll say, close to a quarter of a mile away from us, and you could clearly see what they were doing. It was about a 90-foot disc. It had been hit but at 5 o'clock. I'm guessing it was a missile. It was fired at and was hit by a missile. So my friend, I have high-ranking friends. Much more then than I do now, but my Air Force colonel friend, I said, well, what do you think? This thing, if that was one of ours, it would be surrounded by attack helicopters, right? But there was nothing around it. And he said, oh, yeah, there'd be attack helicopters all around it, and guys on the ground, soldiers on the ground with machine guns and jeeps or whatever. So he said, oh, no, and he said this, an Air Force colonel, he said, no, that was definitely alien. So But
a quarter mile away, and it's 90 feet in diameter, 100 feet in diameter. That you are close.
Yeah,
a quarter mile is nothing. So you can see everything clearly. What is going on?
Yeah. So we could. Yeah.
And now, can you describe who was working on the craft?
No, that's what's really interesting. There were things flying around it. There were lights. It looked just like workmen with spotlights, walking around this thing, but there was nobody holding the lights. The lights were doing the repairing.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, there was a blue light about I'd say 30 yards. It was big. It was probably 5 or 6 feet across, and then another blue light came up to the other end of the ship. And it was phenomenal. And we had 3 cameras, and they wouldn't film. It's typical. It always happens. So my friend Jim just got a new girlfriend, so he wanted to impress his girlfriend. So he wanted to go down there and get real close to it. And we all thought, no, you don't do it. So he jumped in he had a 4-wheel drive, and he went down, and we watched him turn off the road. He found a way to get off and go towards it. And he got so close to it, when an alien spacecraft when they pulse, that means they're getting ready to shoot. I've seen it many times. So anyway, he's driving along, and his high beams, we could see his high beams on this thing. And he said later it was about 90 feet across, and it had red lights all around it. And it was so his girlfriend said, you can let me out right here because I'm not going 1 inch closer to that thing. So then he turned around and came back. But we all saw it. We 6 witnesses. And my experience is, because I've hit them often with a powerful green laser, and often they'll start to pulse. And I think the green laser, it's a beam, and their equipment thinks that they're being fired at. So they start to react to a green laser. I mean, this is a powerful green laser that I've got. I'd love to have a blue one, but I couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So, this has happened probably 25 times.
Is blue, why would I, because I have one of those military blue lasers, right? It's like, this big around.
Yeah.
Blue is better than green. I can change the colors. I can go red, yellow, blue, and green. I like the way the blue looks. That's why I use the blue. Why is blue better?
Well, the one I wanted to buy was $4,000. It's 100 times more powerful than the one I've got. Mine's I'm 10,000 something or other, whatever. I don't know, but it was extremely powerful, a very powerful green laser, and it was many times more powerful than the ones I used to use.
Right.
And they'll stop every time you hit a UFO. I'm not just I'm not blowing smoke. I've had witnesses that have watched me do this, and it'll stop them every time. They're flying along, and a lot of times, they're a huge sphere, white sphere, and the sphere, orange or white or whatever it is their power. When their power systems are fired up, they're surrounded by this field, this green, some of them are green, orange or white, and when that disappears, there's a disc there. So I was out one night, and again, I have witnesses of this. There was one coming right over us, and I hit it with a green laser, and it lit up as bright as the sun. It lit up just like the sun. And the women, they were all women on my tour, and they were screaming. And I've said many times it would have been awesome footage if somebody had been behind me with a movie camera watching this disc light up as bright as the sun when I hit it with a laser.
I was watching, speaking of lasers, so I'm out, I've got 100 people with me, and we're looking at this. It's a pretty famous encounter now. It's been called the green chrome ball because that's what it looked like to me. It looked like a green chrome ball, like a Christmas ornament, but it was big. I don't know, 50, 100 feet.
Wow. And
it's going across. But here was the interesting thing. It was kind of glowing, but I could see the shimmer on it. But anyway, this is what was interesting. There was 3 or 4 people that had those military grade lasers, right? The ones that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it with the binoculars, and I had night vision too. I had both. And I'm looking at it with the binoculars, and I'm looking at it up close, and it's going across the ground before it turned up. And as the lasers hit it, it wasn't a ball of light because the lasers would bounce off of it and sparkle, right? And so it was a solid object. Or it was like what you're describing here, right? Maybe it was surrounded by a green light, but there was a craft on the inside of it. But no matter what, when the lasers would bounce off of it, I could see it like sparkle.
Well, I had if you can imagine chrome light. I've never seen it before or after. Two of these things flew in formation over Maroon Mountain, which was about 3 miles from me, out by Dry Creek Road in Sedona. They skimmed over the Maroon Mountain and came in formation and stopped right in front of me, and they were chrome light, just absolutely incredible to see. And I back then cameras you couldn't, but they didn't have a camera that could film. I mean, they did. There was $100,000. Studios had them. So anyway, I just feel fortunate that I actually saw something like that. It was chrome, huge, maybe 10 feet across, chrome light. Just incredible.
Now, for me, and somebody like me that's going to Sedona for the first time, where should I go?
I tell everybody on Forest Road 525, anywhere out there, and look towards Mingus Mountain.
Forest Road, Mingus Mountain.
Yeah, 525. Go out. It goes all the way out to Sycamore Pass. And by the way, Sycamore Canyon is one of the strangest places on this planet. It's 33 miles long, beautiful. For a long time, I wouldn't go in there. But Sycamore Canyon is actually. I'll read you something. We have plenty of time.
Sure.
But that happened there just recently, and this is a mind blower because there have been about 35 machine gun incidences in this area. Not recently, 20 years ago. Most of this was happening, but this one happened 10 years ago. So they were military uniforms but no insignia on them. They're American military uniforms, but there was no insignia. And they would say, you can't go any further, hikers or whatever, motorbike riders, because it's a closed area. There's military exercises are going on there, so you can't go any further. And one guy said, no, this is public property. This is a public trail. I'm going, and I know the guy. His name is Light. And he said, "Oh no, this is public property. This is a national forest. This is a public trail." And he said, "I'm going that way," which is behind those guys. So the guy stuck an M16 in his face, and he said, "You take one more step, and I'll pull the trigger." That's how serious these things were. What were they guarding? I'd like to know what in the hell they had out there, and I don't know. The most stunning stuff was in Secret Canyon. And I asked Bob Bradshaw, how did Secret Canyon ever get the name Secret Canyon? And Bob got here in 1949, and he says, I asked around, and nobody knows. So Secret Canyons is real, there's something strange about it. And the first UFO incident around here happened in 1922 to two cowboys in Secret Canyon. A disc that roared like a freight train. They thought it was a freight train. Came off the rim and came down in front of them, and that was the last they remember. So they were probably some of the first abductees around here. Cowboys, 1922.
1922. There was nothing in the skies in 1922.
No, not even smog or chemtrails.
Yeah, 1922. And we'll continue this conversation after the break, Tom. But what about sightings of ET and descriptions of that? Is there contact of the third kind?
Not that I know of. Lots of UFO stuff, much, very much. But ET face to face, nothing that I know of around here except Sycamore Canyon. The stuff that has happened in Sycamore Canyon is creepy. It's really scary. So that's why if you get a break, I'll tell you after the break. One of the things I know.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk about that after the break. I wanted to ask you about the orbs really quick before I forget about this. When you were out there with Linda, were the orbs three-dimensional?
Yeah. Yes.
They were spherical. They were 3D.
Yeah, and incidentally, every once in a while, one would materialize. That was a mind blower.
Now, but let's talk about that, because I've had my own experiences, and I just want to hear this from you. When it materialized, how did that happen? What did you see?
Well, they just blink on. I'll tell you a quick story. How much time we got before
we got 3 minutes.
Okay. There was a woman. I had a tour one night, and we could feel these things around us, and they materialized. And they were flying. I had about 8 people on the tour, and they were flying around us. We were having a great time. The guys, me and the guys, we were having lots of fun with these things flying around us. They were pretty big, about like a basketball. But the women freaked them out. They were screaming, and they all said, "We're out of here right now." So that's a case where the orbs materialized, but they weren't bothering us. They were just flying around. No harm whatsoever.
It sounds like fairies.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with saying fairies, by the way.
Yeah,
okay.
Me too.
I'm secure in saying fairies.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, did you ever encounter an orb that was 2D, round but flat, like a coin?
Yep, many.
Really?
Yeah.
And did they materialize in front of you?
No, the camera got them. I have my album right here. It was the only person that had a bigger album than me was Art Bell at that time.
Right.
It was one of the world's best, and I've got about 100 of those photographs you were just talking about.
Now, why? What makes a 2D orb 2D?
Well, there are rare instances where I'll tell you a quick story. There was a guy who was on my tour one night, and he was a total skeptic.
Right.
So he walked around for hours throwing dust in the air, trying to prove that orbs were dust. And he came back, his camera was full of dust. He was covered with dust. And he says, "They're not dust."
What happened to? I'll share this. I got 1 minute before the break. I saw this, and I was with about, I'm going to say 75 people, right? We're out doing the Sky Watch, and the Sky Watch is winding down, and we're sitting in lawn chairs, and we're looking at this field. And I'm just kind of spacing out, Tom. And you know how it is, right? Midnight or whatever, 11 o'clock. And I see this thing come out from behind the trees. It's about 100 yards away, maybe 200 yards away, in the darkness. And it's gray. And it sweeps down, and it's in front of us. And this thing is like 40 feet tall.
Yeah.
But it was flat. It was flat, like a giant $50, right? Or silver dollar. And
I've seen them 50 feet across.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and this lady behind me, and I'm not saying anything. I'm just looking at it, and this lady behind me goes, "Is anybody looking at that gray orb out there?" And I turned around to her, and I said, "Do you mean this crap is real?"
Yeah.
Oh man, what? And I could hear everybody else talking about it in the darkness, right to my left. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I still to this day, I don't have an explanation for it. I don't. And it wasn't round, it was flat. It was so strange.
Yeah.
Tom is writing. Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Tom Dongo. And he said, hold the phone, Jimmy. I've got something for you right after the break about Sycamore Canyon. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is Fade to Black.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, the X.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? UNX Media publishes non-fiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit UnitedGoldGroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Tom Dongo here for the first time guest week here on Fade to Black. And after, a couple of thousand shows, I love it when we have first-time guests. And it's been a great conversation tonight, Tom. And you said right before the break, Sycamore Canyon is the strange stuff. and coming from you, that grabs my attention. What's so special about Sycamore Canyon?
Well, I'll read something to you that was given to me about something that just happened there. So, but at any rate, Sycamore Canyon is it's too freaky even for me. There's stuff that happens there, like flashes of violet light, huge flashes of like a Hollywood purple light coming out of Sycamore Canyon, and strange things. Oh, and actually, I got so tired of seeing UFOs. I've seen so many. I tell people I don't want to see anymore. I've seen enough, and I tell audiences that they think I'm crazy. Well, I've never seen one. Well, I've seen so many. I don't want to see anymore.
Right.
So I was, and this only happened about a year ago. I was coming out of my apartment in Cottonwood, and I went out to the road, and there was this thing coming down out of the sky. It was white hot. It was going about 50,000 miles an hour, and it was in view of 10,000 people. There should have been everybody on the highway, the 4-lane highway, should have seen it. They could have seen it. So this thing, I'm watching this thing come down, and it slowed. It started slowing down, and it got slower and slower and slower, and it was going maybe 20 or 30 miles an hour, and it landed in Sycamore Canyon. This was a year ago. I could see it because you could see it going behind the trees, and I knew Sycamore Canyon was right there. So it landed in, and this is just typical of stuff that happens there. So and I've heard stories that I haven't seen these things that other people have seen coming out of Sycamore, but the Sycamore, the Basque sheep herders used to herd their sheep through Sycamore Canyon to Flagstaff, and run their horses. It was they'd start from about Clarkdale and go all the way to Flagstaff. It was an easy route. But the horses got snake bit by rattlesnakes so much they started running. They built a new trail for the horses, And the Basque sheep herders stopped running their sheep through there because the giant hairy men were killing and eating too many of their sheep. Giant hairy men. And that's the reason the Basque sheep herders stopped running their sheep through Sycamore Canyon. So anyway, this one story it was one of the first stories I ran into around here that I wrote about. These two guys, and I interviewed one guy extensively. They were going down into Sycamore Canyon from the other side. They came from the other side to camp down there, and they got down to the bottom, and on the other side of the canyon, it was dark, and it started to glow, and a disc came out over the rim of the canyon, and was going right in front of them, about 100 yards away, and one guy started flashing his flashlight at it, like Morse code, flashlight. And Joe said, "I don't think you should do that." So about 2 seconds later, Joe got hit in the face by a red beam that knocked him out. He said it was like getting kicked in the face by a mule. And so the next thing he knows is, and this is Sycamore Canyon, about 40 years ago. And so it's kind of funny in a way. So his partner is trying to drag him up a vertical trail going down. It's about, I'd say 100 yards vertical to get back up, to get out of there. So he's trying to drag him up this trail.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe said that's the last thing he remembers. And then suddenly it's morning, and they're on top. They were both on top of the rim going into Sycamore Canyon. So Joe goes over this. He says, "What happened last night? What?" And the guy said, "Don't ever ask me. I'm not going to tell you. Never bring it up again." So Joe tried it again. The guy got so angry with him. Anyway, the guy that had been down there moved. He left town. And I interviewed Joe right after this happened. And there's a bunch of Bigfoot stories in Sycamore Canyon.
Now, I want to get the lay of the land here. I'm going to be staying in Sedona proper. You're in Cottonwood, mm-hmm. which is southwest of Sedona by about 10 miles or so.
It's 21 miles.
Yeah, and but Sycamore Canyon, that's right there. You're looking at Sycamore Canyon from Cottonwood. You're looking right into the canyon, aren't you?
Yeah. You can. They've improved the road, so it's about a half-hour drive. It's a dirt road to get to Sycamore Canyon. It's a beautiful canyon.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, there's a beautiful creek. There are springs. They're about 1,000 gallons a minute. They're so crystal pure, you can drink right out of the spring. Wonderful.
But it is remote, so anything can go on up there, and nobody would know unless you were looking.
Yeah. Well, I'll read you this.
Yes.
Now. It'll take me a couple of minutes. Now this was my friend Jeremy Horseman. He's a regular, him and his girlfriend are researchers around here. So they hike a lot. So they ran into this guy. Now this is recently. Now this is the guy's story. This is what the guy told Jeremy and his girlfriend. And I'll read it. This is Jeremy talking about this. We met a witness yesterday who was riding a dirt bike in the canyons. He gave me the location, which he said was 6 miles in. I figured out where he was, and I asked, that's got to be Sycamore, and Jeremy said, yeah, it is. So 6 miles in, which puts it spot on in an area where others have had these encounters. It was 10 years ago. A rifle round hit nearby, and believing someone had just shot at him, he slid down to the ground. According to him, 2 Humvees pulled up, and well over a dozen soldiers. The guy calls them soldiers. They always dress like soldiers, but there's no insignia.
Mm-hmm.
A dozen soldiers wearing tan uniforms with no insignia dashed out. They all wore helmets, body armor, sidearms, AR-15s, and sunglasses. They were extraterrestrials. They weren't human. So the weapons were pointed at the witness, which was the guy on the dirt bike. He was ordered not to move. One soldier put his knee on the witness's chest and pointed at the muzzle of the rifle inches from the subject's face. He shouted at the witness that he had come very close to being shot a moment ago. The soldier demanded to know what the witness was doing out there. I know exactly where the guy was now. Whereupon, I figured it out. Whereupon the witness answered that he was just riding his dirt bike and didn't realize he was trespassing. He believed he was on BLM land. No, it's National Forest. He believed he was on BLM land, and it didn't occur to him that he had crossed into any private property. The soldier told him that they were going to let him go with 2 warnings. First, never to come back to that area again. Second, never to speak of the encounter to anyone. That's typical. He added, "You think we won't know, but we will know if you do." That means they were extraterrestrials. So, finally, the soldier added, "We can make you disappear." The witness needed no further encouragement, got on his dirt bike, and began the steep goat path ascent up and out of the canyon. And paused as he had some elevation and watched as the Humvees went down into the ground, which means they disappeared into the ground. That's been happening around here many times. Right at the canyon wall, through a camouflage door. The witness was shaking yesterday, as he told me, and he added that we were only. The witness was shaking yesterday, as he told me, and added that we were the only people he ever told about this incident in the past 10 years. He added that their brief interaction was even more strange because they seemed inhuman, without souls. That's typical. I know of about 35 of these incidents, and they're all similar. And they mostly happen this doesn't happen anymore. This was 10 years ago, and it was 20 or 30 years ago this stuff was happening commonly. And I had a few friends that were high-ranking colonels in the military, and I told them the uniforms these guys were wearing. I described them, and one of them was orange. These guys were wearing orange jumpsuits, and he said the colonel said that means they were near aircraft. The only time they ever wear orange is when they're near aircraft. So I thought that was and they were in a canyon where couldn't possibly be any aircraft, but that's what the colonel said.
Now, why would they have warned the dirt biker not to come back? What were they guarding?
I don't know, but I'll tell you another story that's similar. This was 2 women. They were coming from Cottonwood, and they were going towards Sedona, and I actually tracked one of them down. Most of the stories I've had to use with second or third second or third person.
Right.
But I actually found one of the women. So they were going towards Sedona. This was about 20 years ago. They saw stadium lights off on Forest Road, 525. And they thought, well, shoot, there must be a movie going on out there, or a rock show or something. So they pulled off on 525. And they came to a gate across the road, and it's a heavily trafficked road. So, and there was nobody there, but there was a gate. So they got out. The gate alone is crazy. So they got out and walked towards the light, and they said it was creepy weird. There were white tractor trailer trucks driving into the ground. Both women said the ground opened up, and they said what was even stranger was where the ground opened up, the weirdness of the ground. It was probably, a camouflaged holographic thing. So these white tractor trailers with the trailers on them drove down this ramp into the ground and disappeared. So they figured they better beat it out of there real fast, and they did. So, and I know they were telling the truth. By the way, the woman. I mean, you can tell if somebody's lying, making it up. I've interviewed so many people.
Sure. Have you? I don't know if you would disclose it on the show, but have you found one of these camouflage entrances?
No, but I could. I've people that have tried to find those ended up in some kind of a bad situation, so I don't try. So I don't. But Secret Canyons. There was a time when Secret Canyon. There was a guy, and I couldn't interview him because he was gone. But his roommate, tracked his roommate down. And Sycamore Canyon were constant strange things. Like one guy said, I saw a crashed disc out there. It was like Roswell. It was embedded in the ground, and stuff like that. And this guy was just driving around out there, and just a common everyday guy, And so, but anyway, this guy, the Forest Service put a guy to guard people to keep them out of Sycamore Canyon. This was about 1980, probably 1990, and so he got sick of trying to keep hikers out of Secret Canyon. So he said, "Screw it! I'm going to go in there and see what's in there that they're so worried about." So he went into Secret Canyon and ran straight into a 9-foot tall extraterrestrial, a gray. He went around a rock and it was just standing there looking at him. So he ran out of the canyon and went to his supervisor. And I won't say what he told his supervisor. He was really not too happy. So he said he wanted to know what was going on in there, so anyway, the guy disappeared about 2 weeks later. Has never been seen again.
Now, where is Secret Canyon in relation to Sycamore Canyon?
Well, that all the canyons are like a half a wagon wheel. There's the wagon wheel, and the center would be Secret Mountain, and so all the canyons, Secret Canyon is 6.5 miles in. And it's all like a half a wagon wheel, all the canyons.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I don't know if I'm going to have the time to go check out Secret Canyon.
It's not worth it. It's such a long hike in there. It's not worth it.
Here is, probably the most important question of the night. I think that myself included, that this community of ours feels like we are right on the brink of real disclosure, whatever form that is going to take. Do you feel the same way? Are we on the brink of something about to break open?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something right now. I have some people waiting, and my friend Annie. Hi, Annie. So anyway, she's been waiting for me to tell this story. I said I'd say it at the beginning, but now listen to this, and this is a Jimmy Church exclusive.
Okay.
Now, this is, and I'm not going to use any names. Now, this guy, I know him. I've talked to him on the phone, and I've never met him face to face, but I know about him. His credentials and integrity are impeccable. I will personally vouch for this guy 100%. But he's been in contact with Plejaren extraterrestrials for months, and he's that's actually I'm going to say. I know a lot more, but that's actually all I'm going to say about it. So it's going to be interesting to. I'm reading my notes. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. But this is a developing thing. It's been going on for months. Plejarans, and they said to him, "We are not Pleiadians. We are Plejarans." In the beginning.
And what are they suggesting, Tom?
Well, that's what I want to know. I want to know what they've been telling him. He's just finished a book, and he's included it in the book. So I'm keeping hands off of it until they're more ready to talk about it. But like I say, this guy's credentials and integrity are impeccable, because I know who he is, who he was, and you would too if you knew who he was. And down the road, maybe if you want to talk to him or something. But it's incredible, and it's true.
So is this something that you feel, you can just give me your opinion, but is this something that is going to develop this year in 2022?
What's going on right now? It's been going on for months.
Right.
It's a Billy Meyer kind of thing. And he really doesn't want. I know specifics, and of course, naturally, I'm not going to talk about it.
Sure.
But it's something. This could be a world event, and hopefully, he's not the only one that this is. They've picked to have him deal with this, because he can do it. He can handle it. He knows the ropes.
Is somebody, are the Polarans going to reveal themselves? Is that the direction we're going with this?
Well, that's what I want to know. I want to know what the extent of it is. And these things are really sensitive and fragile. So I don't want to mess anything up, but
Right.
It's developing. And he wants to go public with it, but he wants to finish his book, and he actually wants to do a couple more books before he goes public with it.
And have they? We don't have to get into specifics. These are general questions.
Yeah.
Have they been visiting this planet for a long time?
Oh, I've been in this for 50 years, Jimmy. They've been here. They're here now. I've interviewed so many people that have had. My main focus is human extraterrestrials. And my estimate, there's about 120 races of extraterrestrials on the planet, or coming and going from the planet.
Right.
And this is the result of a lot of research. And I've interviewed so many people. Well, not so many, about 15 now. And they've had face-to-face. I'm talking face-to-face contact with human extraterrestrials. My main focus is human extraterrestrials. Because they're the ones. Some of them couldn't care less about us. It's a free will planet. If you want to wipe yourself out, go ahead. But there are some of them that are doing everything they can to help us, everything they possibly can to help us. So those are the ones I'm interested in. And when I was doing tours, we would experiment. If you think of an extraterrestrial, a human extraterrestrial, they will hear you. Because we did that, we experimented on some of my tours, and they would respond. They'd flashes, or something. For example, this is now I have witnesses. I have one woman. Says, "You ever need a witness to corroborate this? I'm here," because she saw it. So one night we were out where I used to do my UFO tours. And these orange lights are blinking on in the distance. So for some reason, the UFOs around here are orange. I don't understand. I don't know why that is. But so anyway, I said, let's try something. In our minds, let's say, please materialize for us for 5 seconds. So we can see you, because this thing was jumping all over the place. It was like funny shape.
Right.
So the thing blinked on, and it was a quarter of a mile across in front of us, and it was all orange. And the funny thing is, it was even bigger than that. It was easy quarter of a mile, and so it looked like a work boot with 3 orange spheres over the foot of the boot. And that was not the whole ship. So it was there for 5 seconds, and it blinked out. But there was a thing, you've watched a 12-foot boat going across a lake with a little light on the front of it. You can see the light.
Sure.
So there was a light on the front of it. And we watched that light go over Mingus Mountain, and it went through the trees. And the whole ship was behind it. So we thought, and it lasted, the big ship lasted for 5 seconds, but the light was there for quite a while. So a week later, and this is all women again, different women. And the one woman, she says, if you need a witness, a testimonial, I'm here. So anyway, we tried it again. So I said, this worked pretty good last week. Let's try it again. We saw some kind of activity around Mingus. And if some of these things, if I could have filmed them somehow, nobody had a camera. At any rate, so we said, please materialize for 5 seconds. So we can see you. So what happened? We were expecting a UFO, right, to materialize in front of us. So Mingus Mountain is 18 miles away from where we were, and these Roman candle, enormous, probably 100 yards across, shot up into the sky on the left, way up into the sky, and then shot like a Roman candle left and right at an angle up.
Right.
Exactly 5 seconds. So they heard us. They answered us. Proof.
I'm looking. So Mingus Mountain is right there, right?
Yeah.
And that's right next to a Sycamore, which is right next to Sycamore Canyon, which is right next to Cottonwood, all west of Arizona. That sounds like a magical area. I think I'm going to have to drive over there. I wanted to ask you this, Tom, and thank you for this conversation tonight, and I know it's getting late. When you say human ETs, right, that's who you're interested in, is this a hybrid that we're talking about, or are they arriving here already, human ETs? Am I even describing that correctly? I think you understand what I'm saying.
No, you know what I used to get all the time? Well, are they walk-ins? No, they're not walk-ins. They're human extraterrestrials from the stars. And most of them, if anything, some of them look more oriental than we do. I mean, it's like they were Japanese or something, you know. And pointed chins is common. Because I've interviewed, many people that have had, and Bob was one of my best friends, and Bob had I'll tell Bob's story. Bob Dean is super famous.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I never had a chance to interview him. He was one that I've always wanted to. There's a couple. Bob Dean is one. Lloyd Pye is another.
Yeah.
There's a few out there that I didn't get a chance to interview over the years. And Bob Dean, somebody that I've had such an enormous amount of respect for. Yeah. So tell me a Bob Dean experience.
Lloyd Pye was one of my best friends.
It's just an amazing guy. His research is just it's helped me so much over the years. You know what? Can I confess something?
Yeah.
I steal more from Lloyd Pye than anybody.
Yeah.
I've just cleansed myself, Tom. All right. So tell us about Bob Dean.
He had the Star Child skull,
yes.
And I had it in my hands. The Star Child skull. He was here in Sedona, getting ready. He was trying to raise $50,000 to get a DNA test of it.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lloyd was a good guy. He died too fast, too sudden.
Can I ask you about that for a second? Because it happened so quickly. It was like he was healthy, right? I mean, and then all of a sudden, cancer. It happened in like a month or two, didn't it?
Yeah. I hope he wasn't assassinated. I just have to hope he wasn't.
Right.
I really do. I mean, so anyway,
he was a funny guy too.
Yeah, he was.
He was a funny guy.
Yeah, southern stuff, Virginia.
Yeah, he had a way in his presentations because he would speak for so long and it was so detailed. I mean, very detailed research, especially when it got into the anthropology part of it.
Yeah.
But he had one-liners. Right? He was in this very serious presentation, and he would break things up and make people really laugh, and that's one of the things I appreciated about him so much.
Yeah, southern humor. Yeah, it's like me with my Maine Yankee humor. It takes people a while to get used to me. Lloyd proved that human extraterrestrials spliced their DNA in with ours. Mm-hmm. That's where we came from. Mm-hmm. Lloyd proved it. He in his book he showed where their DNA was spliced in with ours. And I want to say this. I study this stuff all the time. I think we are becoming human extraterrestrials because we're starting to do strange things, strange abilities, strange psychic abilities, remote viewing. I'm a master remote viewer. I was born with it. And Maureen St. Germain and I just did a big workshop thing. We just finished it up. She taught the military type, and I did. She calls it the Tom Dongo version. But anyway, it's remote. That's remote viewing. That's one of the things. So I think we're becoming extraterrestrials because we're doing things now that we never did before, in a psychic sense, or things we see, things we do. So it's. I'm hoping we are. And the critical thinkers are getting to be really critical these days, and finally they're starting to, with all this stuff that's going on in the world, we need the critical thinkers to really come forward.
Yeah, I think our kids today, and I have two daughters. They're both 27 years old now, but I watch them grow up doing things. I think their DNA's been altered, Tom. I really do. You and I, when we were kids, we were playing with mud pies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Kids today, they are born, they come out of the womb changed.
Yeah.
They're already, I read a stat. This goes to your point. I read this a couple of months ago, talked about it on the air, that I forget the number, but it's like 9 out of 10 infants can navigate an iPad before they say their first word.
Yeah.
Now, how is that?
Yeah.
How is that? I mean, what? Right? It's just incredible to me. I want to hear your Bob Dean story.
Yeah. I'm glad you're keeping me on track because I wander real bad.
It's okay.
But Bob, he when he was a sheriff down in Tucson, he was up in his office one day. He was on the second story, and I've heard all of Bob's stories, so I know pretty much what Bob, and I know what Wendell Stevens. I know most of his stories too. But so anyway, Bob was in his office one day, and this guy knocked on his door was open. He knocked on the sill, and he said, "Bob, can I talk to you for a minute?" Bob said he was a real nice guy, just a normal guy, just like a normal guy, some guy just got off work or whatever. So he comes in, he's talking to Bob, and he gets right into the subject of extraterrestrials, human extraterrestrials. Bob was really hip on this right from the beginning. For many years, he's been into this. So Bob's thinking, who is this guy? So the guy said, well, I have to go now. And so he said, shook hands with Bob and said, nice to talk to you, And Bob said he was a great guy, a really nice guy. So he went out the door, and Bob's thinking, wait a minute, I got to talk to this guy again. So he called down to the front and said to the guy at the front desk that was by the front door, he said, hey, Bob said, hey, stop that guy that's coming down the stairs. I want to talk to him. There was this pause, and the guy said, what guy coming down the stairs? You and I are the only persons in the building. So the guy was an extraterrestrial.
And did you get a chance to, it's so much part of urban legend, right? The Wendell Stevens collection. And I tell the story often. I'm not going to go into details now, but when I was a kid, 20, 21 years old, I'm 58. I got a collection of UFO, videos, home recording things. But one of them was like 4 hours of Wendell Stevens just showing his pictures. And it was like the most amazing, and this was like in the early 80s when I got this videotape. And I've been fascinated with Wendell ever since. Did you get a chance to just sit down with Wendell and go through his collection?
Not all of it, but I've got some of his photographs in my. I wrote on Wendell Stevens, so I'm not claiming that they're mine, but I've got quite a few of his in my collection.
And what do you, and he spent decades, collecting this.
Yeah.
And I want you to make me envious right now. What's it like to go through his photographs?
Well, I never did complete. I heard stories about all the books, the thousands of books he had, and the photographs, and I've through other people I've seen many of them, and he never really pushed his photographs. He just had them, and that was it.
Right.
I've got this UFO, and I have many of them. So I feel fortunate to have them. And I write Wendell Stevens on them, so nobody I think that I'm taking stealing his stuff. But yeah, no, I never. When all this was going on, I heard certain things. I never knew what to believe, because there was stories going around, and so I don't know. I don't know who ended up with all of Wendell's books. Somebody bought them all.
Yeah, I've heard. Look, I've been contacted by a few different individuals that say that they have it or they have part of it and divvied up. It was in a storage container. It's been moved. And, I've heard, and many people have reached out to me, and a lot of it was even up on eBay. There was a lot of his original stuff that was showing up for sale on the internet, and I thought that part of it was pretty sad. But here's the other part. I mean, for me, when we talk about Bob Dean and we talk about Wendell, of course, Stanton Friedman, Jim Mars is somebody else that comes to mind, and John Anthony West. These individuals, the greats, right? That are not here to live through the moments that we are living through right now, and they deserve to enjoy the moment that we're going through, shouldn't they?
Yeah, the great ones are, a woman stood up. I was doing a talk one day. There was packed house, and I don't know what urged her to say this, but she stood up, and I was talking about something of that, and she said, the great ones are leaving one by one now. The great ones are almost all gone, and I thought about that a lot. And the great ones are almost all gone. You can name them, and they're all gone. And and many of those guys were my personal friends. I mean, personal friends, close friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bob. Me and Bob used to sit out on his porch and smoke cigars. Bob smoked those damn 2-foot long. You had to suck on them for 10 minutes before you got any smoke out of them. So I've heard many stories. And there's something I was going to say. I forgot. But yeah, it was amazing being around those guys. In the beginning, I was, an apprentice listening to these guys like Wendell.
Sure.
And so it was something that I really treasure, knowing those guys that are gone now.
And one of the things, as I'm a youngster, right? I'm 58, and I have the honor and the privilege to be hosting these conferences and to go out and to meet these researchers. But more so than that, the generation that I see coming up, I'm very impressed with their knowledge and how they have gone and looked to the Bob Deans of the world, right? The John Anthony West and the Lloyd Pies, and they've respected their research and their interest in the subject. And I think that we're in pretty good hands moving forward, and I used to look at, somebody like Richard Dolan as the young guy on the scene.
Yeah.
Right. Richard and I are the same age, and I look around. Yes, we're in good hands, but the generations below us, Tom, these kids are smart, and they're really into the subject, and they look beyond where our minds go. I think we're in good hands. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Their minds are different. They're born super intelligent. The crystal kids, the different ones like Borisky in Russia. He's turned out to be. He when he was a little kid, a baby, he was telling scientists about what's out there in space, and turns out he was right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Are you working on a new book? What are you doing now?
No, I'm not. I'm just kind of taking care of business. I have just shows like this, and I've got a couple of big speaking gigs coming up, and I'm working on those right now. It's mostly speaking stuff, and I'm trying to taper off, but I'm not doing too good. Doing too good at that.
No, you're not tapering off. We need you, Tom, and I can't believe it's taken us this many years to get you on the show. I look forward to our next conversation, and maybe I'll get a chance to break bread and hang out with you a little bit in Sedona this weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Behave and be well and be safe. Stay out of Sycamore Canyon, young man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Yeah.
Have a good night, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick break. This is Fade to Black. I want to thank Tom Dongo for coming in, and I'll swing right back after this short break. This is our first time guest week here on Fade to Black. What an amazing week. Last night, of course, Dave Scott. Tonight, Tom Dongo. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw is going to be here. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with me. I'll be right back after this short break.
Listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church. Jason Martell's book, Knowledge Apocalypse 10-Year Anniversary Edition, is now available. Most ancient cultures speak of a time when their gods visited them. They never say their gods came from across the ocean or from the mountains. They always came down from the skies. Was ancient man visited by gods or extraterrestrials? We have not been told the full truth about our human past. There was a time when all the ancient cultures lived amongst beings they considered their gods. The search for truth leads us down the path of learning where the ETs might come from and why they are here. To understand some of these advanced topics and learn the truth about human origins, buy the new book from Jason Martell, Knowledge Apocalypse. Now in its 10-year anniversary edition, available on Amazon.com by clicking on the banners over on our site, or simply visit JasonMartell.com. That's JasonMartell.com. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNXDB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to thank Tom Dongo for coming in tonight. That was an amazing conversation. I could talk to Tom all night long. And what is just so much to unpack there. And I didn't open up the phone lines, but some calls came in and they're on hold. So I will maybe get to one or two calls here before the end of the night. But like I said, so much to unpack there. And going back to what I was saying at the start of the show about Oumuamua and some of the points that are not being discussed right now. And it goes right back to what Tom was talking about tonight and a couple of things that he described. And one of them was the craft that was being worked on that was a quarter mile away. And he described it as about 100 feet in diameter, and he could see that it was damaged and they were working on it, but that there were lights that were moving around and working on this craft. And and his friend, jumped in the four-wheel drive and with his girlfriend, went down and drove right up on it and got a really good close look. That's a fascinating encounter, and it goes back to when speaking about Oumuamua earlier. That one of the things. Now, remember, Tom described this as a disc, and Avi has been describing Oumuamua as probably disc shaped. It was shaped like a pancake and 100 meters in length. Some of the data suggests it might have been even bigger than that. But a disc-shaped craft that was metallic. It had a surface made of metal. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, Tom, with his descriptions tonight of these craft that he has seen, not all are disc-shaped. The one that he said that was falling like a feather, that had three lights in the center of it. That was interesting. But my point being that disc-shaped craft have been reported, photographed, seen, filmed, videotaped for decades. This isn't something new. This is the way that witnesses have described what they have been seeing for a long time. And here we have a craft that literally was interstellar, came in from outside of our solar system, interstellar, and cruised by our planet and kept on going and did a drive-by. I find that absolutely fascinating. There is another point that I want to bring up about this, and then I'll grab a quick phone call. Is that the reason why? Now I can't get in Avi's head completely on this, Avi Loeb, but the reason why disc is described here is because of the reflection and the light that was generated off of our sun, off of this craft as it came through. Check this out. The rotation of the craft took 8 hours. So they were able to get some pretty accurate measurements. And so we're talking about it took 8 hours for this to rotate. Now, if it's round, if it's disc shaped, then that rotation, you're going to see a steady decline because of the round sides of it, right? Remember, it's moving like this. And that's a different measurement as opposed to something that's shaped like this and is rotating. You're going to get a dramatic change in the reflection that's happening here to here. It's going to have a sudden drop off. That's why he thinks that it was pancake shape, disc shape. And this is something that needs to be, I don't know why. It's right there. It's in print. It's in his book. And it's described in such detail and why the data suggests this, that it's not being discussed, not only in science, but in our UFO community. And that the rate of reflection of light coming off of this is not rock, right? It's not an asteroid. It's metallic. It's got a reflective surface on it. This is incredible, and it goes right back to what Tom has been describing through his years of research. I find it absolutely incredible. Okay, so I just wanted to make those 2 points. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hello.
Yes, you're live. Who's calling? What's your name?
Hey, this is Rooster from the Bayou, man. What did I just hear?
What do you mean?
Who are the Polarians?
Yes, yes,
who are they speaking to?
Yes, you're right.
Is our government getting ready to do something?
Yeah, right. No,
where did the Polarians?
Rooster, you heard the same thing I did. I mean, I was blown away. And
so you're headed to Sedona?
Well, see, here's the thing. Everything that you just asked me, I was thinking the same thing because I asked Tom, right? I asked Tom the same thing. I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, is this a lead up to something like worldwide that's about to happen?
Yeah, I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. Are you feeling it?
Kind of feeling it.
I'm kind of feeling it too. Polarian? Isn't that what he said?
Polarians. Who have they been speaking to? Polarians? I don't know. He said they're not the Pleiadians.
Right.
They're the Polarians or something. And they've been talking to this guy I know who's about to drop some stuff. Is it going to be like are they just going to show up somewhere? And he said it's going to be a worldwide event?
Yes. You know, and I mean, I was...
You were talking... Loved the show last night. I started it late, so I watched it from yours into Spaced Out Radio. You guys did an awesome job. That was awesome.
Yeah, we pulled it off. We pulled it off somehow.
Yeah.
We got that
done.
Job. But I could tell when Tom said this is a Jimmy Church exclusive, here we go.
Exclusive.
and I was like, uh-oh. And this is coming from Tom Dongo. Time to pay attention. Yeah, Polarians, not Palladians.
Did they tell you anything about Polarians?
I've never heard it before. Have you?
No.
No.
Hearing it for the first time as well.
Hey, Rooster, where are you from?
Yeah.
You said Baton Rouge?
No, down Louisiana, yeah.
Okay, close enough. Right? All right.
I love the show, Jimmy. Take another caller, man. It was cool.
I'm at the end of the show, man, but I'm glad I got you in, Rooster. Behave and be well. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Indeed. Bye.
That's a great call right there. And, Polarians. Now, I'm throwing this out there to you Fadernauts. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about any contact with the Polarians? Not the Palladians, Polarians. Very, very interesting. And Tom said, he said, I'll vouch. I'll go. I'm going all in with this individual and his credentials. It kind of bummed me out when, look, it's the obvious thing to say. We got to wait for the book. There may be other reasons behind it, but I don't want to wait. And that was a good drop from Tom Dongo. And also, I want to remind everybody before I get out of here, I got about 30 seconds, is tomorrow night Jazz Shaw is going to be here. And I have been reading and watching Jazz from the Fringe for quite a while. And his comments, his wisdom, his insight, he loves to stir the pot. And I've been watching him do that. He is a part of this team in this community. And tomorrow night, I expect one of those conversations. So you're not going to want to miss tomorrow night with Jazz Shaw. It was really funny. I saw his post earlier today as I get ready to get out of here. He said, okay, Jimmy, the pressure's on. It is. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw right here on Fade to Black. First-time guest week, all week long here on Fade to Black. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitola, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast owned and copyrighted 2022 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm yours, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw. I want to thank Tom Dongo. What a great show tonight. Until tomorrow, I want you to be safe. It's time to fade to black.